Public notice of this meeting was given to all board members and associates in the notice dated August 30th, 2024 and September 27th, 2024. Adequate and electronic notice of this public meeting has been provided, specifying the time, place, and manner in which this meeting is being conducted. It was advertised in the Courier Post, posted in all schools, the administration office, the municipal building, the library, the quadruple center, Edgewood Acres, Elmtown, and the Winslow Township post offices. And this is our mission statement. The mission of the Winslow Township School, a large, diverse, and growing community, is to educate all students to become independent, lifelong learners, critical thinkers, and caring and confident members of their community. The district, in partnership with the community and in a climate of cooperation and mutual respect, will provide an academic environment which values excellence and diversity, encourages students to strive for personal excellence, and assists them in acquiring the knowledge, skills, and attitudes necessary to contribute positively to a rapidly changing world. Roll call, please.
Mr. Askew?
Present.
Ms. Dredden? Here. Ms. Martin? Present. Ms. Nieves? Ms. Peterson?
Present.
Mr. Shaw?
Mr. Shaw will be absent this evening.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas?
Present.
And Ms. Pitts?
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Can you stand for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
2024-2025 district goals. Number 1, student achievement. Continue to implement best practices for delivering instruction to students that this shall include conduct weekly administrative walkthroughs to monitor teaching and learning. Consistently review student assessment data to guide and redirect teaching. Continue to provide supplemental activities, i.e., tutoring, enrichment periods to address student deficiencies. Benchmark assessment for 9th grade math, language, art. And number 2, create a safe and positive learning environment for students and staff. Strictly enforce the district students' code of conduct. Focus on upper elementary school students to modify student behavior in the early grades. Reinforce positive behavior in a specific and genuine way. Approach discipline with care, respect, and the desire to see the good in all students. And 3, increase parent, caregiver, and community engagement in education. Provide opportunities for two-way communication with district stakeholders. Continue with the communications consortium. Focus on refining our communication methods and messages to better market our schools. Continue with our public relations with the community. And now, as you're all aware of, we have a board vacancy, and at this time, we will conduct interviews for this board vacancy. I'd like to ask all the candidates that are here to please step outside, as we will call them up into the room to proceed with the interview, one at a time.
Is this one first?
First.
Are the other candidates here yet?
I don't see them, not yet.
Okay. As long as, if any of the other candidates should try and come in, we should ask them this. Thank you, Mr. Davis. We should ask them to remain outside,
There are definitely 2 gentlemen in the hall.
and we'll call them in when we're done with, Ms. Claude was first.
No, I'm sorry.
She's first?
She's first, yeah.
Come on, Ms. Claude.
Ms. Claus, how are you today?
I'm doing wonderful, thank you for asking.
Sure.
I'm Ms. Claude, how are you? Nice to see you. Ms. Claude, in order to become a school board member, I just want you to be aware of a couple things. there's certain requirements that you must be able to fulfill, and I want to ask you about them before we begin with Mr. Thomas asking questions. First is you have 1 year residency within the school district, that you're registered to vote in the district, that you have no personal interest in any contract with or any claims against the board, that you not hold office as a member of the municipal governing body, that you not simultaneously hold 2 elective offices. It doesn't mean Lions Club or something like that. That means like a governmental office. You can't hold 2 at the same time. So if you're a board member, you can be on township committee or something else, which was an elected position. And effective a couple of years now, you're required to undergo a criminal background check within 30 days of the appointment in order to be able to take your oath. So while the board might be in a position to make an appointment tonight, it can't swear in anybody after that appointment until that criminal background check comes back. So, and that usually takes about 30 days, sometimes less, to accomplish. So unfortunately, while the individual might get selected tonight, they may not be sworn in or take a seat until they satisfy those requirements. Are you able to meet with all those requirements, Ms. Claude?
Absolutely, 100%.
Thank you. I'll turn it over to the boss.
That's Ms. Pitts, but I'll say something so he gets back. Ms. Claude, happy to have you here today.
Thank you for having me.
We just have a few questions that we want to ask some questions to, so feel free to answer in any manner that you see fit. That's number 1. Why do you want to be a school board member?
I want to be a school board member because I'm committed. That's number 1. That's the first thing. But I have 5 top reasons why I would love to be a school board member for Winslow Township School. My passion for education, my community engagement, my diverse perspectives, my commitment for improvement, and my vision.
Thank you. Number 2, what personal qualities do you possess that you feel like or feel will make you an effective school board member?
So first of all, I'm the chairperson of the CAC, which is the Citizens Advisory Committee for Winslow Township. I've been on the Citizens Advisory Committee for 2 years. This past year, I've been the chair, and the last year I was the co-chair. I've been actively involved in making sure that I get the voices from the community to bring them to the Board of Education in an effective and with integrity and in a manner where we can try to move forward to bringing progress to the Winslow Township School District. And I also feel as though my passion for the 5,000 students is my drive to ensure that we can make sure that every student in Winslow Township School District can graduate with success, can come to a safe environment to learn and be happy to learn, to have teachers that care about them, and have an administration that care about their teachers.
Number 3, are you aware of the extensive time requirements of a school board member, and what life or work experiences do you have that would make you a good school board member?
I am aware of the commitment. I am aware that there are many nights on Wednesdays that you may be here for hours beyond discussing things in your executive board meetings. I'm aware that there are classes that I will have to take. I am a self-employed, unemployed person. I work for myself. So I make my own time schedules. So I can work around my schedule with the board to make sure that I am at every meeting that I need to be at to be an effective board meeting, a board member for this Winslow Township School District, so I can commit to the Winslow Township School District and to the Board of Education.
And the final question. How many school board meetings have you attended over 2 past years?
Over the last 2 years, since coming to here, I think I might have missed maybe 4 board meetings. And it may have been due to illness or maybe on my vacation. Other than that, I've been at every school board meeting. If I wasn't, the 4 that I did miss, even when I was in Niagara Falls, I was on YouTube watching the Board of Education meeting. So I was still engaged in what was going on with the department, with our Board of Education. So as far as how many have I missed? None. I've been at every last one of our board meetings.
At this time, first of all, we want to thank you for your answers and your responses. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
At this time, does any school board member have any questions or comments for Ms. Law?
I do have a question.
Mr. Esco, I would just ask if you do have a question, absolutely no trouble asking that question. But if you would ask that question of the other members when they come in, so we're hitting them with the same exact questions for evaluation purposes, I appreciate it.
Sure. This is to elaborate a little bit more on one of the things that she said in her opening. She had indicated that she had a vision for the district, but I would like her to expand upon what that vision might be.
My vision is to ensure that not only do we have an athletic department that brings colleges to our school, it will also be academic excellence. My vision is also that all these new homeowners that are coming into Winslow Township do not choice out and send their children to different schools outside of our district. I want Winslow Township School District to be the district that everyone wants to come to, not only for academic excellence, not only for the athletic department, but because the administration is the sound administration. The Board of Education is a sound administration. Our children are happy when they come here. Our environment is safe. So I believe that that is a great vision for me to have. That's a great vision for me to start off with. And I just want to say one thing, give a quote that Ralph David Abernathy stated. He said, "I don't know what the future holds, but I know who holds the future. And I'm aware of who holds the future. I'm going to be the voice for our children. I'm going to be the voice and I'm going to advocate for the parents and the teachers. And I'm going to be a support for the administration here. So I need to be on this board. I am qualified to be on this board. And I'm ready to be on this board."
Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Law.
You're welcome. Do I need to step out or I'm
Yes.
staying in?
She can stay since she's completed.
Thank you.
The next one up, Mr. Nico Milberg.
Yeah, it looks that way. Oh, I would have said it. Good evening, Mr. Milberger. How are you?
Good, how are you all?
Good. I'm Howard Long. I'm the board attorney. I'm just going to start off tonight with just a couple of preliminaries, if I may.
Sure.
I just wanted you to be aware that in order to become a board member, there's certain requirements that you must fulfill that are mandatory by law. One of them is you have at least 1 year's residency in the school district, that you be registered to vote in the district, that you have no personal interest in any contract with or claims against the board, that you hold no office as a member of the municipal governing body. Excuse me. You may not simultaneously hold two elective offices at the same time. And as of a couple of years ago, the law changed, requiring a fairly extensive criminal history background check, which is completed within 30 days of your appointment and is a requirement prior to you receiving an oath of office. That 30-day period commences upon confirmation of the appointment. And while the board may make the selection this evening, regrettably if chosen, excuse me, you may not be sworn in or take a seat, since you have to satisfy that criminal background check requirement before we can swear you in and have you take your seat. Are you able to meet all those requirements,
Yes,
sir?
absolutely.
Excellent, thank you. I'm going to turn it over to our Vice President, Mr. Thomas.
Mr. Milberger, how are you today?
Good, how are you? Nice to be here.
Have about 4 questions we need to ask you.
Yes.
All right, first, number 1, why do you want to be a school board member?
Yes. So before I answer this question, I first want to thank you all for having the opportunity to be here tonight. So first question, very simple for me. I want to help students succeed. I believe highly in student success, student achievement at every school in the district. Every student, whether they're in school 1 to the high school, early childhood education, I want them to be able to have big dreams, to aim high, reach for the stars. In fact, if I were brought on, I would have an initiative or bring forward an initiative that does just that. By focusing on our general education students, of course, while also focusing on our special education students, as I believe that they deserve a fair representation as well. And from being a Winslow alum, graduated in 2020 from Winslow High, I believe I could add a fresh value to the board, fresh value perspectives, as well as being able to relate to the young people that are in our schools today. So I look forward to hopefully having this opportunity, a marvelous opportunity to join you all and to do wonderful work.
Thank you. Number 2, what personal qualities do you possess that you feel will make you an effective school board member?
Yes. So I recently graduated from Drew University. Hey, look, a Winslow kid, right? Graduated Winslow Township High School, top 15% of my class, and I went to Drew University. In fact, an interesting tidbit is I ran into one of our Drew counselors who actually recently went to Winslow High to about recruiting future students. And he had such wonderful things to say about what's happening in Winslow High School. I'm very proud to hear about that. Hopefully going and extending more partnerships with more schools. Now, so what I can do, I'm gonna extend questions 2 and 3 together because I think they align very similarly. So first, crisis management. I do think the board does deal with multiple crises on probably a daily basis, and adaptability, innovation are crucial for members. One of my experiences at Drew, I was a student worker. One of my experiences was in the finance region. I was president of the sociology club, which was connected, is connected to the sociology department. They have a wonderful program. And sadly, back in 2017 or 2018, a former student of the sociology department at Drew passed away due to an epileptic seizure. Her name was Tammy. Tammy went by they, them pronouns, so you'll hear me reference Tammy by they or them. Tammy was an active student, a student that believed in community outreach, civic engagement. And a vital student in the department and further the Drew community. Once Tammy passed away, the said parents donated a special fund to the sociology department, by extension the sociology club, $5,800, which is endowed, so it's accruing interest as we speak. And for several years, that money was inaccessible, meaning that in a large part that no one knew where the funds were. So there was an obvious place of mismanagement by the university. This was a year-long battle, many years, and then COVID hit, the pandemic. And so, of course, everything grinds to a halt, including this. And so once the club was resurrected, and I encourage you all to go to drew.edu/sociology to be able to see a beautiful story written. The Sociology Club reinvigorated. Our trip was to Ellis Island, and the funds that we used were Tammy's, from Tammy's parents. We were finally able to get these funds under my leadership and many others. Tensions were high between a faculty member who was an advisor to Tammy with the administration. Of course, that's completely understandable as they had a close relationship. And so I worked diligently with partners, with the professors, with the department, with the administrators to work out a deal to get access to funds. And by virtue, we were able to go to Ellis Island, which was an incredible experience. We were also then able to go to the penitentiary, Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia. And so that For me, it was financial planning, financial accountability, which I know and I understand are crucial for this board, for anyone to be on it, and have a clear, balanced budget. Another thing is crisis management I possess as well, and effective communication and leadership skills. So crisis management, so I was a student worker in the sociology department at Drew University. I worked for the chair of sociology, who at the time was the co-director of the business department. Before the spring of 2023 commenced, so this was winter recess, I came in, a little early, and I asked the chair, "Do you have anything you need me to do?" I'm a go-getter, and you'll hear that tonight.
Mr. Milberger, can I ask you, because we have a time restraint on the questions, I'm gonna ask you to summarize that. We got 2 more questions we need to ask.
Okay. Essentially, the professor, the academic, was badly injured, and of course had 2 full classes of management, overflowed, and had to teach on Zoom. Last minute, of course, and so I worked diligently with partners, with the professor, to ensure a seamless, smooth operation of this course as we go.
Thank you. And your third question, are you aware of the extensive time requirements of a school board member, and what life or work experiences do you have that would make you a good school board member?
So absolutely, I am aware of the extensive time that would take place to be a committed board member, and I respect that. I would have an immense amount of time as a possible member. I will ensure that I devote more time than necessary to ensure the successful outcome of our students and the board itself. As far as background, I did mention this before, from the time at Drew. As I said before, those questions were similar, so to save time, I just combined those. My financial responsibility, clear, effective communication, and crisis management skills.
And your final question is, how many school board meetings have you attended over the 2 last years?
So in the past 2 years, I was a full-time student at Drew University. So unfortunately, I couldn't have gone to a physical school board meeting. However, while I was a student at Winslow High, I was interested in the budgeting processes. And in fact, I have a list of the budget, friendly budget with me now, and I highlighted some areas where I was interested in and had questions. And so in that regard, I'm fully committed to seeing a possible position and to ensuring the success of all of our students, faculty, staff, and working with everyone on the board.
So what's the answer to the question?
Not in the last 2 years, as I was a full-time
0?
college student. Yes.
At this time, I would like to ask if there's any board members that have any following questions for Mr. Milberger.
I do have a follow-up question.
Sure, Mr. Askew.
My follow-up question is, what is your vision for the district?
Yeah, so my vision would be, if you correct me if I'm wrong on this, going toward the district motto, preparing our leaders for today, tomorrow. I believe in that strongly, but I also believe in preparing our students for success and to aim high. And I believe the board has also pivoted to this for this fiscal year to make this a priority. And so I would be fully in line with that opportunity. So that would be the vision that I have, obviously announcing different initiatives like Aim High would be one, specifically focusing on our special education students. I want every student in this district to feel that they can attend a school and not feel that, oh, they're not worth that. I want them to see value in themselves. So that's what I can bring value.
Thank you there, Mr. Milberger.
Thank you for your time.
Next up will be a Mr. Robert Sean Chester.
He may stay if he wants, Mr. Davis. Thank you. Hi, Mr. Chester, how are you, sir?
Fine, yourself.
Very well, thank you. My name's Howard Long, I'm the board attorney. It's nice to meet you this evening. I just want to go over some preliminary matters before I turn it over to Mr. Thomas to ask substantive questions, if I may. So there are certain legal requirements to become a school board member. For instance, you have to have 1 year's residency within the school district, have to be registered to vote within the district. You can have no personal interest in any contract with or claim against the board. You cannot hold any office as a member of the municipal governing body. And likewise, you may not simultaneously hold 2 elective offices. And lastly, even though the board may make a selection tonight as to who it chooses to become, to fill the interim term, there's a requirement that you undergo a criminal background check, and you will not be able to be sworn in and take your seat, even if selected tonight, until that requirement's been satisfied. You understand those points I made?
Yes.
Thank you. And are you able to meet those requirements?
I am.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm going to turn it over to our board vice president, Mr. Thomas.
Mr. Chester, how are you this evening?
Good, Mr. Thomas, how are you?
Good, I have 4 questions for you. The first question, why do you want to be a school board member?
I think between my professional background and educational background, it grants me unique insight to be a successful board member. And by that, I mean, as far as my professional background, I've been in the military for 10 years, military police. My last 2 years in the military, I was a recruiter, so I helped to mentor young students that were transitioning from high school to the military. I also currently mentor Winslow football team through the A Few Good Men agenda. I actually just got from there just now, but I've been doing A Few Good Men with Winslow Township football for about 7 years now. And I'm also actively involved in my church. I teach Sunday school 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And I also mentor young people through my fraternity. We have what's called the Sigma Beta Club, where we mentor young men ages 8 to 18 years old.
Thank you. Second question, what personal qualities do you possess that you feel will make you an effective school board member?
With school board, I understand it's a volunteer organization. No one up there is getting any paychecks. So I also am a person that lends myself to volunteering. As I've stated, I volunteer with my fraternity, I volunteer with my church, and it's all geared towards mentorship of people. I want to see that they survive and do a great job when they're done being in school.
Thank you. Third question, are you aware of the extensive time requirements of a school board member, and what life or work experiences do you have that would make you a good school board member?
Yeah, I'm very familiar with the time and dedication it takes. I've sat on boards before through my fraternity and other organizations that I've been a part of. I know it's just not the Wednesday meetings. There's committee meetings that you sit for as well. And my leadership through these other boards that I've sat on will end well to the school board.
And your 4th question, how many school board meetings have you attended over the 2 last years?
About 10.
Thank you.
Mhm.
At this time, is there any other questions or comments from our board members for Mr. Chester?
Vice President Thomas, I do have a question.
Sure, Mr. Askew.
What is your vision for the school district?
You know, before I do anything, I like to, or join an organization, I like to check the mission statement. And I did go on the school website to look at the mission statement. And my goals align with that. I think it says something to the effect of teaching all students to become independent, lifelong learners, critical thinkers, caring and confident members of the community. And those values I instill in myself. I instill in my 14-year-old son who goes to Winslow High School. So by learning that mission statement, I can say that my goals align with it. Right now, I'm a lifelong learner. I'm actually at Rowan getting my master's in higher education. And I know for a fact, once that's done, eventually I want to get my PhD.
Thank you, Mr. Chester.
Thank you, sir. You may have a seat. You're going to stay for the meeting or excuse
Yes, I'm going to
yourself?
stay for the meeting.
Thank you. Mrs. Pitts, that would seem to conclude our selections. I know we have, well, you take it how you wish to proceed.
At this time, what I'm going to do is ask for a brief recess so that we can go into executive session.
So we're permitted that too. So if I may, in accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act, we'll be adjourning into executive sessions for matters of personnel and attorney-client privilege. We will be doing that at approximately 6:20. My watch is slow.
6:30.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I would anticipate maybe 20 minutes, Mrs. Pitts?
Yeah.
And we will be returning. Need a motion in a second and a voice vote, please.
At this time, board members, I'm asking a motion to approve our moving into our brief executive session.
Peterson move for approval to move into our brief executive session. Second, Ms. Martin.
Moved by Ms. Peterson, second by Ms. Martin. At this time, I'm asking, would there be any questions? No questions, roll call, please.
Mr. Askew?
Yes.
Ms. Dredden? Yes. Ms. Martin? Yes. Ms. Peterson? Yes. Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
And Ms. Pitts?
Yes.
The motion has carried.
Thank you. At this time, we're moving into executive session. As we can say, we will be back in 20 minutes.
This draft is mandatory.
It's not the song, guys. Okay.
Everybody, even special education kids, identify two takes tests. Everybody takes it. The attendance and all that doesn't apply.
Doesn't affect it.
If you're there on the day or days that the test is administered.
I have something that is not what it is.
Somebody has their mic on. Somebody took their mic with them. Oh, no.
Like that.
Yeah, somebody's mic is on.
And we will hear
It's
them,
just-
and we don't mind. That's my vision, that's my vision for the school board. Everybody wear freaking mics and turn them on. They don't wear- Put the mic on.
You can hear when they don't need to be heard, right?
What?
You can hear when they don't need to be heard, right?
Like, turn them on.
Miss Murray did say she was coming to the meeting, so I didn't hear it.
They must have realized it turned off. You definitely could hear it off. You could turn it off.
I'm gonna have to stop talking because that's not going to make me laugh. It was good, it was okay.
She all did a good job, just so.
You guys did great,
Yeah.
you did great.
Appreciate it. Oh, I was gonna ask a question. Who's
What's funny? It's the height of the- You need to,
Do we
what's your name? You need to know their-
teacher there, way back.
Okay.
Renaissance coach or whatever.
Okay.
Questions on parents.
But I have asked those questions that we asked here, I'd like to ask to the candidates.
Okay, well.
Are you?
Yeah,
Asking for a motion to adjourn executive session.
Peterson move for adjournment of executive session.
Second, Martin.
Moved by Ms. Peterson, second by Ms. Martin. All in favor? Any nays? We are back into our public session. Mr. Thomas?
Ladies and gentlemen, of the board and of our stakeholders, at this time, I am calling for a motion to fill our vacancy board seat.
Peterson move for approval to appoint an individual for a vacancy up until December 31st, 2024.
Second, Ms. Martin.
So in light of the fact, we want to ask if there's any questions first.
Mr. Thomas. At this
We have a
point,
motion, second, any questions?
any questions?
If I may interject, Mr. Thomas, the way that we typically do this when we have multiple candidates and there could be multiple combination of, it's majority rule. So when the roll call is done by Mrs. Boyle, if you would pronounce the last name of the candidate you have selected, that would be very helpful. Proceed in that fashion. Is everybody in agreement?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Mrs. Boyle?
Mr. Askew?
Chester.
Ms. Dragon?
Chester.
Ms. Martin?
Chester.
Ms. Peterson? Chester. Mr. Thomas?
Claude.
And Ms. Pitts?
Chester.
Thank you. From the count, it appears that Mr. Chester has received 5 votes and Ms. Floyd has received 1. So it appears that Mr. Chester.
You are correct, Mrs. Boyle. Mr. Chester, if you would make arrangements, there you go. If you would make arrangements to reach out to Mrs. Boyle perhaps after our meeting or sometime tomorrow so that she can go through with you what needs to be done to get your process for your paperwork. Thank you. Thank you.
Moving now, board members, at this time, we're on page 2, awards and presentation. Dr. Perkins?
Good evening. Board members, if you would take a seat in the front row. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. As I indicated over the past 2 board meetings, that we will be presenting the spring 2024 New Jersey Learning Assessment results. Board members, you have a copy of this presentation in your folders, and if you'd like to take notes and gather your questions for me at the end of the presentation. Before we get into the New Jersey assessment results, one of our community members asked a question about one of the goals that we had last year under student achievement, and that was to increase benchmark scores in 4th grade English language arts for the end of the year. As you all know, we have a new benchmark assessment, which is iReady, and what we've done, of course, is conducted a test in October. This is a diagnostic, which is an opportunity for us to find out where each of the young people are so that we can address those needs individually. The first line, which is diagnostic 1, in October when we took the test, you have at or above grade level. So we had 45 students that was at or above grade level in October, according to our diagnostic. 46 early on grade level, meaning they were very close to being on grade level. 113 of our fourth graders was one grade level below. 32 of our fourth graders was two grade levels below. And 83 of our fourth graders was three or more grade levels below. Now, what I want to point out, and I did write it down at the bottom, it says columns 1 and 2 reflect the increase in the number of students progressing toward or performing at or above grade level. So when we administered the test in April, which was considered the end of the year, you want to see how many students progress to the point where they are now at or above grade level. So if you look at Diagnostic 2, which was administered in April, we went from 45 students at grade level to 100, which means now we have a gain of 55 students. Early on grade level, meaning very close, we went from 46 to 48, 2 additional students. Now, these last three columns, you don't want to see pluses, you want to see minuses, because you want to see how many students can you get from one grade level below, maybe move over to the early or at or above. And of course, 2 grade levels below, you want to move those children over so that they can show some improvement, and as well as column number 3. So 1 grade level below, in October there was 113. When we retook the test in April, it was 111. So there were 2 fewer students that were 1 grade level below. If you go to the next column, 2 grade levels below, there was 32. When we took the test again, in April, there was 16. So there were 16 fewer students at that grade level. Moving on to 3 or more grade levels below, there were 83. In April, there was 44. So there were 39 fewer students who were 3 or more grade levels below. That is the purpose of the diagnostic. From the beginning of the year to the end of the year, you want to see where there's growth. I've taken the time to explain this particular slide, so when you see the others, you already know pretty much how that works. All right? So let's move on. Now, the goal was to increase benchmark scores in 4th grade ELA. I did the math also, so you can see the progression as well as in math. 4th grade. All right? Diagnostic 1, October, you'll see where each of those young people were. And Diagnostic 2, you'll see the increase. For example, at or above grade level, we increased by 50 students. Early on grade level, we increased by 46 students. 1 grade level below, we had 7 fewer students. 2 grade levels below, we had 39 fewer students. So again, these young people are moving according to our diagnostic. 3 or more grade levels below, we went from 75 to 22, 53 fewer students. All right? So to give you an idea of where we are as far as the I rate is concerned, I took the liberty to do grades 4, 5, and 6. And in grades 4, 5, and 6, these are all of the students, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, took the I-Ready Diagnostic 1 and 2. When we combine all of the students together, in October, there were 122 above or at grade level. Close to grade level, 118. 1 grade level below, 266. 2 grade levels below, 188. 3 or more grade levels below, 326. Now we're talking about maybe 1,020 students, 1,030, somewhere in those numbers, you do that. But you see, as we go across, above grade, at or above grade level, we had a gain of 127 students. Close to grade level, we had a gain of 34 students. However, one grade level below, instead of us decreasing, we increased by 13 students. So the number went from 266 to 279. Two grade levels below, we went from 188 to 151, which is 37 fewer students. And three or more grade levels below, 326 students to 189, we had 137 fewer students. Now, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, and look at what I'm saying here. 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, one grade level below in either one of those grades, two grade levels below, and then three or more grade levels below. That's what the diagnostic test showed us, and that's what we want to see, where the young people are and what additional services these young people need in order for us to put them at grade level. Now the question would be whether or not we saw any increases or whether or not any gains when we went through our state assessment. All right? Mathematics, the same thing occurred, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. Diagnostic 1, October, those are your numbers across. Diagnostic 2 in April, you see the gains, 127 at or above, 139 almost at grade level. We decreased to one grade level below by 46 students. Two grade levels below mathematics, we have 69 fewer students. And three or more grade levels below, we had 207 fewer students. All right? Let's move on to the assessment. English language arts. By school. School 1, School 2, School 3, School 4. The green is year 2023, and then the purple is 2024, which was last year. So we're doing a comparison from one year to the next. School 1 went from 33 to 31% proficiency. School 2 went from 28 to 33% proficiency. School 3 went down from 42 to 32% proficiency, and School 4 maintained 48% proficiency in both years. Now, keep in mind, these are not the same students. The third graders in 2023, this is the new group of third graders in 2024. These are the youngsters who were in second grade last year, okay? Moving on. Schools 5 and 6, 2023, 31% proficiency, down to 26% proficiency last year. School 6, 27% proficiency in 23, up to 33% proficiency last year, which was 24. Middle school went from 39% proficiency in language arts literacy to 28%. 11% decrease. High school went from 35% in ELA to 32%. What I also did here for you is a 4-year study or a 4-year comparison. 2019 was the year before COVID, okay? We didn't administer, or the state didn't administer the state assessment in 20 and 21. We picked it back up in 2022, 23, and of course last year was 24. Third grade went from 43% before COVID, dropped down to 38% in 2022, up 39% in 2023, down to last year to 2024. Fourth grade, 36% proficiency before COVID, after COVID, 22, 32%, 23 back up 1% to 33%, And then in 2024, again, up 1%. Third and fourth grade. Grade 5, before COVID, 41%. After COVID, 2022, 30%, and 22, 9% in 23, and 26% in 2024. Sixth grade was 45% proficiency prior to COVID. After COVID, down to 33% in 22, down to 26% in 23, an increase in 2024 to 28%. Grade 7, before COVID, in language arts literacy, we're at 40%. 2022, right after COVID, 30%. 23, up slightly, 39%. And last year, up to 48%. Eighth grade, 43% before COVID. 2022, 39%. 23, 38%. 24, 26%. Ninth grade, 36% before COVID, down to 28%, and 22, back up to 35% in 23, down to 33% in 24. Language arts literacy. Mathematics. School 1, mathematics. And of course, these are all third graders. School 1, mathematics. Last year, 2023 was up 27% proficiency. Last year, down to 22%. School 2, 23, 26%. Last year, they moved up to 43%. 17% increase. School 3 went from 33% in 23 down to 23% in 24. School 4, 36% in 23, 34% in 24. Fifth grade, school 5, I'm sorry, by school. School 5, 19% in 23, up to 24% last year in 24. School 6, 16% in 23, up to 18% in 24. Middle school math, 15% in 23, up to 18% in 24. High school, 10% in 23, 9% in 24. Same thing we did in language arts literacy. You have a 4-year comparison. 44% in third grade before COVID, 30% in 22 after COVID, 31% in 23, 30% again in 24. Grade 4, 28% before COVID in 2019, 16% in 2022, 22% in 2023, 30% in 2024. Grade 5, 2019, before COVID, 31%, 16% in 22, 15% in 23, 18% in 24. Sixth grade, 32% before COVID, 19% in 22, 16% in 23, 17% in 24. Seventh grade, 25% before COVID, 15% in 22, 19% in 23, 16% in 24. Eighth grade, 12% in 2019, 9% in 22, 6% in 23, 8% in 24. Ninth grade, 24% in 2019, 20% in 22, 13% in 23, 18% in 24. Intervention strategies. Basically, so what are we going to do to address these issues? You saw what the iReady diagnostic test showed us. We do see some growth in skill development. We still have some issues that we need to address. So as a district, what are we going to do to address these concerns? We're going to start with our schools. These are our intervention strategies. First of all, you have to create and maintain a learning environment where teachers can teach and students can learn. Can't happen without it. If your environment is not conducive to learning, it's not going to happen. All right? Teachers have to be able to teach. Young people have to be in an environment where they can learn. Pretty much non-threatening. Minimize classroom disruptions. It only takes one student in the classroom to make sure that no one gets anything done, particularly if the teacher has to deal with disruptions. Maximize teacher instruction time. If they don't have to take their time to deal with discipline or disruptions, that entire time they're going to be using for instruction, which gives us an opportunity to make sure our young people get all the time they need in instruction. Increase classroom library support to reading across the curriculum. And basically in the elementary schools, we're pouring more and more books into those classrooms, giving these young people an opportunity to read. Whenever the teacher has an opportunity for, when they break them down into small groups, we want them to read. Data-driven decision-making. The numbers that you just saw drive everything we're going to be doing. The data will drive all the professional development. It's going to drive what we're going to be doing with our young people. So we're going to continue to review that data, whether it's the state assessment or your benchmark assessment, because you have to have more than one assessment according to the Department of Education in order for us to decide or determine where our young people are, which will drive instruction and professional development, meaning that if we see certain areas that need to be strengthened, we also need to make sure that those teachers are getting that professional development so that they can strengthen their skills. Better prepared they are, the better we feel they can provide instruction to our young people. Continue administrative data sessions with staff to guide instruction and learning. You have to take time out during that school day to look at that data with your teachers and put together your action plan as to how you're going to address it. Yesterday, we had an opportunity where school didn't open until later. That gives us a couple of hours to, the administrators have a couple of hours to sit with the staff members. And one of the things they're doing is going over the data. And as they go over the data, that will give us an opportunity to drive instruction. Professional development. Continue to provide ongoing and targeted professional development that focuses on improving teaching and learning. We're going to train and retrain and continue to provide training for our teachers so that they can be in a position to be at their very best. Continue to utilize all available resources in and out of the district to support student development in both math and language arts. As you know, over the years, and we bring in professors from Rowan, Canyon County College. We have opportunities for our teachers to go and be trained in turnkey when they come back. So we're going to continue to have all those resources in our schools to help train our teachers. Continue to provide parent workshops to enhance their awareness of facts that affect and contribute to student success. As you know, last year we had several parent workshops. The one that comes to mind for our little people, we had workshops for our kindergarten, for our preschool teachers. We had workshops for mathematics, reading, all the materials we have online to help our parents learn how to use those materials. And we talk about their awareness of the facts that we know help, particularly those little people, reading to them, counting, helping them to understand how to sit quietly and work, helping you doing things around the house, measuring. All those learning opportunities we're asking parents to continue to do. Little people love those things, but they don't know they're learning at the same time. Progress monitoring. Does the student know what has been taught? If not, we are asking our teachers to reteach. However, there is a pacing that you have to maintain because you can't be on the same subject area for 3 months. So you have to pace your way through, but there are many opportunities for teachers to reteach, because if she says to her class, you guys understand what's going on? And they say no, then you know you have to go back and reteach, right? Building principals, directors, and supervisors are observing staff and providing feedback. So all of those individuals, that middle management people, are in those buildings, assisting those principals, observing staff, and giving the teachers feedback to strengthen their delivery of services. Conduct weekly administrative walkthroughs to monitor teaching and learning. We want to have principals up in those hallways, in those classrooms, so that they can see what's going on a daily basis. So if you call them and they're not in their office or not able to respond, this is one of the reasons why. We expect them to be in those classrooms so that they can monitor the teaching and learning. Provide interventionists to support teaching and learning. We have interventionists in every one of our schools. These individuals are there to pull out those young people who need additional services, and they go into the classroom to work individually or with small groups. So we're providing as many services as we can to support those young people of the greatest need. One of the things we continue to ask our teachers and administrators is to continue to develop a relationship with the students and motivate them to do their very best. That helps us, those young people, to build their confidence, set high expectations, and the better the relationship you have with the young people, the harder he or she is going to work for you. All right? Early intervention. Strengthen the student's foundation in the early grades and place more emphasis on skill development in pre-K to 3rd grade. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, you know we now have 3-year-olds in our schools. I think they get smaller every year. But that's essential to put them in a learning environment, provide them with opportunities to learn while playing, to learn while engaging with others. But it's important for us, as the diagnostic indicated, you cannot have that many young people progressing through the school district and they're still 2 and 3 years below grade level. That's the task we're confronted with, all right? Online learning, we still have online learning resources available to the teachers and to the parents. If you go online, your school, we have materials and resources for language arts, literacy, and mathematics for the parents to work with their children now. Benchmark assessment tool. We are going to continue with our iReady to assist the teachers in identifying the specific needs of each student. Last year was our first year with it. I think that tool has been very effective. We've been able to identify a lot of the needs. We've been able to target what needs to be done in the classroom. We also are using this tool to target our professional development. Before and after school tutoring program, we're going to continue to provide before and after school tutoring program to support student achievement. Ladies and gentlemen, you remember earlier this year I said to you, we identified 393 students who needed extra help to come to summer school. Only 53 showed up. But we're going to continue to provide it. However, the resources are there, the teachers are there to help these young people, but we're asking our parents to please take advantage of those opportunities we provide. Continue to place greater emphasis on day-to-day assignments and quarterly grades for each subject. Now, we're not teaching to the test, state assessments. We're teaching skill development, but those grades every quarter, you should be looking at those grades. You should be talking to your children about those grades, because these are the grades that's going to determine whether or not they promoted from one grade to the next. These are the grades that are going to determine their GPA once they get to high school. These are the grades that are going to determine whether or not they go on to college. All right? So I don't want us to think that everything we're doing is basic and looking at testing. We want that day-to-day teaching, that short-term memory, to be the same amount, or if not more, emphasis on the day-to-day learning and those quarterly grades. So monitor their report cards and monitor as much as possible. Some of these strategies are a continuation from last year. Parents, we're saying develop a partnership, relationship with teachers to increase student learning. Work with us, be a part of what we're doing. Let your children know that we are a team, that we're working together in their best interests. Send your child to school prepared to learn. And that's a big one. We need our young people to understand why they coming to school. What's the purpose of coming to school? What do you want to do upon graduation? Come to school prepared to learn. Make sure your child studies and completes assignments, homework assignments, which is required of them. Support your teachers and hold your child accountable for their actions. And that's so important. A lot of times we are trying to deal with issues with our young people. We communicate with the parents. A lot of times they don't agree or they don't support us. And we're not saying that we are 100% correct on everything we do. But what we are saying is when you know your child has done something that he or she wasn't supposed to do, then hold them accountable. Because this is a learning process as we go along. Attendance, send your child to school every day, stay home when you're sick, but we know there's a strong correlation between attendance and student achievement. If you're not in school, you're not going to achieve academically, all right? Parents, monitor your child's progress. Our On Course Connect is our new parent portal. So I just put that there just so we make sure that we are on the same page. Monitor their grades, homework assignments, monitor their attendance. Support your child by attending back to school nights, parent-teacher conferences, and school events. Please take advantage of the support programs that we have in place to support the child's academic growth. And we're asking you to please, if you can, send your child to the before and after school programs, extended school years, some enrichment programs, etc. At this time, I'll take any questions you may have.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I guess it was on the slide, 1, 2, the third slide when it was increased, the only.
From the beginning?
Yeah, first of all, let me applaud you for this transparency and of course, and taking the time out to put this together. But I think with the second slide, when we increased by 13 students in grade level 4th, 5th, and 6th, one grade level below.
Okay, you said 4th, 5th, and 6th. Okay,
that one right there.
Okay.
The only one that was like that. And can you break that down? Why do you think that happened? They increased 13 students.
Well, that's difficult to say. I'm not sure how. Maybe the student wasn't progressing those kids weren't progressing as they should. Maybe they didn't take it serious. There are a lot of variables that may apply. Dr. Cartmore, do you have any?
So, Mr. Thomas, can you repeat what you asked Dr. Bridges?
Well, when you look at the numbers, I'm just.
How did that happen? Like the increase, right?
How do you think we got to the point where that's the only column in that is increased?
Yes.
I guess, once again, everything, I applaud you for everything you did. But just to question, just to see how that one is the only one that we really look like we went south.
Yes, and as I stated before, there could be a lot of reasons. When you take a form of diagnostic or standardized test, some of our young people just don't take it as serious as they should. So we don't know what may have transpired there, whether or not they took it serious, whether or not they've been applying themselves, because we, with our iReady diagnostic, we spend about 15 minutes every day. 15 minutes every day. So that you have that skill development, because it's like a building block. You build on every day you're building on. And in this case, these 13 students, to be able to specifically say why, I'm not sure, but it could be about everything. Yes, Ms.
Could it possibly be that some of the students, like the 137, instead of being 3 grades below, they may have moved up to only 1 grade? They don't have to skip, they don't have to go from 3 years to 2 years to 1.
And actually, you could have a student who could actually move all the way up to on,
Right, but
grade
some of
level.
these-
Right. It just depends on their level of deficiency where they started and how hard they work to move forward.
Multiple variables, and of course, my math people here would look at it half full as opposed to half empty. But thank you. But thank you. But that is, again, that's another variable in this, because what we want, Mr. Thomas, we want those young people moving from right to left. That's the way we want to move. We want to move them from right to left.
Like I said, the overall performance looked to be very good.
It's
According to them.
just iReady, based on some of the things we've done in the past, has been a great comparison for us. It has given us some information that we now, of course, can look at and say, okay, this is what we need to do. So how do we approach it? So all those strategies that I just mentioned to you, hopefully we'll start seeing some more gains. But we'll see what happens in the second year.
So may I ask, Dr. Cook,
Sure.
Dr. Cook, you said earlier that you're talking about two different tests. This is a benchmark assessment that we use to look at just basic skills in general. It is not the state assessment, and the skills are different. So on the state assessment, they may have much more challenging skills and tasks presented to them than that they have on iReady. So you will see a difference in scores. So if the expectation is that because we have the benchmark assessment and the students are doing fantastic here, that we should see those same results. You should see movement, but don't expect the results to be the same. It takes time to get to that point. 3 to 5 years if you're looking for change and you're looking for sustainable change.
But also, can I pick that?
Yes, I'm sorry.
And
Yes.
I concur with what Dr. Quackmo said. But in 5 years, the state changes the test.
That's correct.
And see, for the past 14 years, we've had 3 different assessments. So they don't make money, and I shouldn't say that. Let me keep my mouth.
Well, the other side of that is that there's already a discussion with the State Department as to what they're looking at in terms of the state assessment. So things are forever changing.
Yeah.
A quick example that came to mind. For example, let's say we were working with 2 place multipliers, and the student wasn't doing well, but by the end of the assessment, they were doing very well with 2 place multipliers. But when they got the state assessment, they had 3 and 4 place multipliers. They weren't as efficient. But it didn't mean that they didn't show some gain. The tests will always be harder. Plus, we don't know what's on the class. You never know what's on the assessment. But again, over the years, we've continued to dig at this, make changes along the way. Does this work? No. Does this work? Yes, let's stick with it. It's a task. It's a task. But when you see that you have young people 2 and 3 years below grade level, it's going to take some time to get them where they need to be. But you got to stay at it. Yes,
I
ma'am.
have a couple questions.
Yes.
You said 393 students were identified. Do you have which grade levels that they were in? And if so, out of the 53, were they transported to the schools? Do they have
Well, we provide transportation for all our summer programs. Yes, transportation is provided for all of them. If we went into our records, we can identify who the 53 were, and we can tell you the ones who said no, because we know who they are.
And was that just struggling students or students who failed?
No. We always look at those students of the greatest need.
The greatest need.
Yes, so you look at your, let's say, lower 30%, that 30 percentile. So we invited them through their parents. We sent those letters home to invite them because we felt they needed that work. For example, they could have been the ones, and not necessarily now, but at that time, based on our similar benchmark, they could have been the young people in the 3 or more grade levels below, or the kids who were in the 2 grade levels below. So those are the ones you really want to focus with that extra time.
So you target, well, I shouldn't say target, but.
Well, that's a term, yes.
You targeted them based on the assessment and not their grade?
Well,
Both.
so may I?
Sure.
I'm sorry, Dr. Petit. So the recommendation for the summer program starts with the teacher first. and it's based on skill deficiency. And in all of that, the report cards are considered, class participation, everything is included there overall. Whether or not the teacher thinks that the student will benefit from participating in the summer program. So the summer program is not a credit recovery program. We only start looking at credit recovery for some sixth graders, middle school and high school. And during the summer program for those students, it's an online program, not an in-house. And the reason for that, again, participation was extremely low. So even though we were paying the teachers before the students had to pay their own summer school, well, we offered to pay, and we paid, so it was free to the students, and we still had very, very few students participating. So now it's an online credit recovery program. So if you want to get your extra credit so that you move on, then you have to absorb the cost of doing so.
Okay, so, if I may.
Sure.
My kids don't come to this, but I enrolled them into the Rutgers Reading Summer Program.
Yes.
For several years until they start screaming no. But maybe if you want to enhance all of the students and get value for the teachers still being here, why not just open that up for not just the people who are not taking advantage of it,
Right.
but for the ones who want to continue so that
Right.
learning slip won't slide over the summer. So I can send my child to school if you're going to provide.
Right, so basically what you're saying, your children are doing pretty good,
They're doing
but
good.
you want to continue to enhance.
That's fine. You know, SATs and all of that
Yes,
other stuff
yes, I
that
understand.
we,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
help me out.
And I would grant you that most of those parents would take advantage of that.
I would.
I'm not so sure that I understood what you said.
So a summer program for all students.
Right, and so the problem with the summer program for all is we simply don't have the staff to do that. We can't provide the transportation for all students during the summer.
Oh, no, I don't mean for all, I should say, for the ones who want to take advantage of, maybe specialize it for, the kids who want to specialize towards SATs, enhance hard to learn, instead of us parents that are paying Rutgers Reading Program $300-400 for 6 weeks. We can, I'm just.
Right, no, but we understand what you're saying. We understand what you're saying. I agree with what you said, I agree with Dr. Carpenter said, because we've done it both
Yeah.
ways. However, I am inclined to believe that parents with children who are inclined to want to come and want them to be there, I think the numbers would be much higher than
Yes.
what we had this past summer.
Yes,
Can I make a comment on that, because that was one of my requests several months ago. To even if it's limited or if it's on a first come served basis somehow, because I know in athletics and, you know, they practice during the summer. The band, they practice during the summer. So in order to be great at what you do, you got to do it all year round. So if we can provide it, the ones that need it don't want to take it, but the ones that just want to be advanced in that in their skill set in education, if we can find a way to open the door for them, I think that would be not only an asset to our district, but asset to our community. If we could find a way to open the door for those, if we have 390 seats and we offer it to the ones that want to take it, and then they don't want to take it, and the ones that don't necessarily need it want to take it, we could open the doors to them. I think that would do wonders for our district.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
So.
You go first.
So, in your, presentation, you had talked about, minimizing classroom distractions and
Yes.
maximizing the teacher's teaching time.
Yes,
Well, in high school, they're currently using the online pass system,
yes,
and if anything, that took more time out of the teacher's teaching time than it did the agendas, because now they gotta stop class every time to sign every person who needs to go somewhere a pass. So they gotta stop teaching their lesson
okay.
rather than just a student creating a pass in the agenda and then signing.
Well, let me just ask one question. Where are the students going during class time?
The bathroom and stuff, but like,
Yeah, okay, and I understand that. However, when you go to class, whatever it is you needed to do now, every once in a while, someone has to go to the bathroom, fine. But it cannot become a situation where the teacher is doing so much that is interfering with instruction. That's a problem. That's a problem. Shouldn't be happening now. Again, I know some people have to go to the bathroom. However, if it becomes an issue, then you need to bring your doctor's note. But other than that, those interruptions should not be occurring at such a rate that the teacher has to stop or interferes with instruction in order for that to happen. That's
New program too.
Dr. Patrick, before we go further, could I ask the board members to take their seat because it's easier for us to sit there and look.
Oh,
out
okay,
and turn around.
okay. Ms. Murphy, you had a question?
You must have read my mind. So I love what I'm seeing here with the iReady. And
Yes.
to kind of help bring in some context, as a student, not me, my daughter who's now in 6th grade, so she took the iReady,
Okay.
all that, right?
Right.
And it is, not you, and it is quite interesting that if you start to score above or headed towards above, like you start to get more as the diagnostic goes on, it now is giving you skills that you may not have learned yet because you're above grade level. So it is quite a comprehensive diagnostic, and I really feel like that is helping, and I like to see, I think it makes sense in that frame. I'm also very happy that you put in those 4-year gap, because I think what we might look at, and if you can go a little bit, like those graphs that show your 4-year breakdown.
Yeah. the
I think what concerns, I think, me as a parent and what I'm seeing is the students that were 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade during 2020.
Okay.
So they had virtual 1st grade and half of 2nd grade virtual. And right, they're the ones that are now in middle school, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, that are just, we're not really seeing that increase that we want to see. Right, we're kind of hovering in that third, like that 20-30%.
Right.
How can we iReady, is that going to recover then? Is that planned,
Well,
that might recover that?
It is a diagnostic, it is skill development. We're hoping that this will enhance what we're trying to do to get these young people caught up. However, the teaching and learning process begins once that door closes in that classroom. It's all about instruction, and that's why I'm strong on pencil paper. I'm not one of those stands behind the computer. Seriously, it's about teaching. It's about good teaching. There's no substitute for good teaching. And that's where it all begins. Sure, this gives us an idea, but it's all about what's going on in that.
And the other question, so what's missing from this presentation, is that because we don't have it, is the GPA results.
Okay.
The NJGPA results.
Right.
Is that not on, do we not have that yet, or do we, because you mentioned about high school, and you or me, those results you're talking about are not the 11th graders, it's the.
No, when I refer to GPA, I'm pretty much thinking of grade point averages for
Right,
all of the
but
young people.
Right, but I'm saying when you, in your presentation, you have high school, that's 9th grade performance,
Right.
not the 11th graders who
No,
took the NJGPA.
no, it only goes up to 9.
So where are the high school GPA results and NJGPA results?
I don't think it goes beyond, it's just a few kids that might be in 10th grade, but the 11th.
But 11th graders took a whole new assessment, the graduation.
Oh,
the
that was
end-
last year.
They took it this year too,
Well, we would have the results from this year.
but didn't they take it in the spring, Dr. Coxwell?
Yes, they did.
Do we have the results?
So we had something, some that arrived, last week sometime. So I didn't have the time to go through those.
Because-
analysis.
Because as a high school parent,
Right.
I'm quite concerned, and I'd like to kind of, are we gonna then present that in a different presentation?
Yeah, you did get your
I did.
individual profiles.
I
Yeah,
did.
you got your individual profiles, and you could get the analysis of the high school.
I'm just, okay, because I'm concerned, and I feel like we as a district should look at what percentage of current 12th graders that were 11th graders in the spring that took that assessment that didn't meet expectation and are now in the portfolio class. Last year, it was almost 67%, if I remember correctly from your presentation. It was a good majority of the seniors from
Right.
last year.
Right.
Class 2024, it's now a graduation requirement for the class of 24, 25, and up. And we're talking about a majority of those seniors didn't meet expectation in mathematics.
Right.
And I would like to know kind of where we are with that, because my concern is, you talked about looking at grades, checking GPA,
Yes.
we could have a student that is honors student,
Yes.
straight A's in
Yes.
honors track,
Right.
courses in mathematics, and are sitting in a portfolio class because they didn't pass the meet expectations. So in my opinion, there's a disconnect, right? I can do really well in class.
Not necessarily a disconnect because you're comparing apples with oranges. Classwork is short-term memory, meaning I go to class every week, every 2 weeks I have a test. I'm great. Long-term memory is the assessment. However, the assessments that they take will not keep them from graduating. That's why the state had put in different options in order for you to move forward.
Right.
The entire state cannot afford for the number of youngsters in this state who doesn't pass that test the way they give it. You're talking about, let's say, 60% of all the high school students in the state of New Jersey didn't take it. They're not going to do that. So that's why they had 3-4 different ways for you to move on. Again, the GPA is important because the colleges aren't going to ask you how did you do on the New Jersey assessment. They don't even want it. What they are going to look at is your grades.
I guess my point is like, what are we doing to get a better connection?
The same kinds of things we're doing at this level, at the high school level. We are building skills. We even have math enrichment. We have those classes associated with the assessment where the young people who are identified who didn't pass it, they're in those classes.
And yes, I did know that for ninth grade. We are doing that for incoming ninth graders were placed in these enrichment classes.
Yes.
Based on their scores in 8th grade. So I do see, I guess, I want to make sure that we're proactive, not reactive.
Absolutely.
Because I feel like we are at the point now where we don't need to react anymore, right? We're building proactive strategies.
If I could just add one thing, the challenge with high school students, especially your students who have been in an honors class, students don't take the test seriously. And they feel like I'm in an honors class, they just don't take it seriously. So the other part is you can't force them to complete the assessment. So they sit before the assessment, and if they don't complete it, we don't get an active score. And so they come back where they were not proficient. The only other option is to go through the alternative.
And correct, and I think, again, as we proactively talk about this, starting at 9, I would encourage us to kind of, whether that's I don't know if that's Mr. Barella, or if that's the 9th and 10th grade principals or vice principals that kind of bring that up, but what I'm saying is, we should start having these conversations with the students and the parents in 9th grade, that the importance of this, and what will happen is, you will be removed from an elective course to be placed in a portfolio class, and you will lose credit, and you will, which will affect your GPA.
Well, that's interesting, because that conversation has already taken place, and so we get the kickback. I don't want my child to hear.
That's one of the points I was going to make. We, particularly this year, you will never imagine the number of parents that say they don't want their children in the class.
Oh, I can.
And the other point I wanted to make, and I'm not sure what percentage, but the young people at the high school already know that this is not going to keep them from going to college. It's not important. So, you have a few to tell you, well, it doesn't make a difference as far as my progression is concerned. So a lot of them don't take it seriously. I think that's one of our greatest concerns beyond the teaching and learning in the classroom, holding them accountable in the classroom, is getting the young people at the high school level to take these tests seriously.
I agree with that. Thank you.
Get them to take it seriously. So we're going to do, and the things you have mentioned, some we are already doing, but I appreciate your support. Anyone else? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Dr. O'Keefe. Board members, before we continue with our agenda, I have Dr. O'Keefe be seated. Let me ask you this. How many in this audience today, right now, have children or grandchildren in this district? Okay, keep your hands up for a minute.
Great nephews.
Great nephews. 1, 2, 3. Ms. Boyd, you have grandchildren? 4. Now, I counted 5 hands, which means that you have children here. There are 5,000 kids in this district. And what we did here tonight was advertised. It was put on our website and on our Facebook. What I want to know from our tech department, sometime this week, if I could just know how many people tuned in to this tonight. Because folks, this is a cooperative endeavor here. I have 4 or 5 parents here tonight. Now, I am not casting aspersions on folks who have busy schedules, folks who have family emergencies. I understand that. But what I don't understand is why I have 5 hands that were raised and there are 5,000 kids in this district. Let's just remove the children from pre-K up to 3rd grade, because as we all know, what? They don't take the test. But from okay, so from 3rd grade up to 11th grade, right?
Yes.
That's the bulk of this school district. There was an education commissioner who said, and the first name was Lucy, I can't remember her last name. She was Davies, right? She said that children, she has found in her years, that children will live up or down to the expectations that we and you parents put on them. So Winslow, we've got to do better. We can do better. And I'm expecting better. And that's all I have to say, because the hour's getting late, and I know my board members want to move on. So that's what we'll do. Board members? Oh, my name. I know I was set up like that. But anyway, board members, we're on page 2. Our attorney just let me know that my nameplate was there. Yeah, well, that was when I woke up this morning. But, board members, I'm on page 2, and I am asking if we have any correspondence.
None this evening, Madam President.
Thank you. At this time, I'm asking for a motion to approve our minutes from our regular board meeting, which was held Wednesday, September 25th, open session. Is there a motion?
Peterson move for approval of regular board minutes from September 25th.
Second, Ms. Martin.
Moved by Ms. Peterson, second by Ms. Martin. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Askew,
Yes.
Ms. Stratton,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
and Ms. Fitz.
Yes.
Motion has carried.
Thank you. Moving now, at this point, we're going to go through our board committee reports. Would there be a report out of our athletic committee?
Madam President, our athletic committee is not due to meet till the end of the month. However, I'd like to use this as a public service announcement, just to remind everybody that our Winslow Wall of Fame is October 25th, and we still have a few seats left. It looks like we're going to be reaching sold out capacity. So if you're interested in coming, make sure you get your tickets, and it's going to be a grand event.
And
That's about it.
I do expect that all board members.
We do expect that all board members are all covered and are invited to attend.
So will you give them the date again? Just
October the 25th at 6 o'clock at Brigham Island. It's going to be a grand event. Formal time. Formal.
For those of us who may not have formal, that will
Do the best you can.
Okay, look at the next slide. That's it. Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Moving now, Citizens Advisory Committee will give you a report out of our Citizens Advisory Committee.
Not at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Education Committee will give you a report.
No report at this time, but we'll meet on October 16th at 4 p.m.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. I'm going to move fast now. The Marketing Committee, because Ms. Neves is not present yet. Family emergency. Operations Committee is a report out of our Operations Committee.
Not at this time, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. And moving now to our Policy Committee. With regards to our Policy Committee, we should say that the Policy Committee met virtually September 26, 2024 at 4 p.m. Members in attendance were Mr. Shaw, Mr. Askew, Ms. Nieves, and myself. Administrators in attendance, Mr. Dion Davis, Director of Human Resources. The following policies and/or regulations were reviewed and discussed and are being recommended to the board this evening for first reading. Additionally, it should be noted that each policy and/or regulation has in some manner been revised, and those would be Regulation 5200 that dealt with attendance, Regulation 5440 that dealt with honoring student achievement, Policy number 5337 that deals with service animals, Policy number 8420 that deals with emergency and crisis situations, and policy and regulation guide 8467 that deals with firearms and weapons. And again, we should note that all of those policies have been revised. The meeting concluded at approximately 4:40. Then our next meeting will take place on October 9th, 2024. Any questions with regards to that report, board members? Thank you. Moving now, at the top of page 3, I'm asking for a motion to approve the superintendent's report as it begins at the top of page 3, and then it continues through to the bottom or the mid of page 8. Is there a motion?
Peterson move for approval of superintendent's report that recommends approval of the following items found in item A through B, page 3 through 8.
Second, Ms. Martin.
Moved by Ms. Peterson, second by Ms. Martin. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Askew,
Yes.
Ms. Dreddy,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
and Ms. Pitts.
Yes.
Motion has carried.
Thank you, Ms. Bull. Moving now, board members, I'm at the top of page 9, our Business Administrative Board Secretary's report. Before I ask for a motion on that, I would ask that you take a look at page 14, down the bottom of page 14, where it lists the names of individuals who are going to our annual conference in October. If you notice, down there it says board member names. That should be read this way, simply member name. Okay? Because Mr. John, in a sense, deals with the ESSER and of course he's going, but that should read just member name. Okay? All right? So therefore, at this point, I'm asking for a motion to approve the Business Administrative Board Secretary's report as it appears beginning page 9 and continues through to the bottom of page 14. Is there a motion?
Peterson move for approval of business administrator's report that recommends approval of the following items found in item A and B, page 9 through 14.
Second, Ms. Martin.
Moved by Ms. Peterson, second by Ms. Martin. Would there be any further comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Askew,
Yes.
Ms. Dreddy,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw. Mr. Shaw's not here, but Mr. Thomas is, so I'll take the line now. Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
thank you, and Ms. Pitts.
Yes.
The motion has carried.
Thank you, Ms. Bull. Moving now, board members, I'm at the top of page 15. I am asking for a motion to approve personnel reports as it begins at the top of page 15 and it continues through to the bottom of page 16. Is there a motion?
Peterson move for approval of personnel report that recommends, that the superintendent recommends approval of the following action items found A 1 through 6, page 15 through 16.
Second, Ms. Martin.
Moved by Ms. Peterson, second by Ms. Martin. Would there be any further comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Askew,
Yes.
Ms. Dreddy,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
and Ms. Pitts.
Yes.
Motion has carried.
Thank you, Ms. Bull. Moving now, board members, to our agenda, that nice pink sheet that we have, and I'm sure that we've had an opportunity to read through it. So therefore, at this time, I'm asking for a motion to approve the item on our addendum that begins with the superintendent's report, letter A. It begins and ends on page 1. Is there a motion?
Peterson move for approval of superintendent's report, which includes recommendations, approval of the following items found in item A1.
Second, Ms. Martin.
Moved by Ms. Peterson, second by Ms. Martin. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Askew,
Yes.
Ms. Dreddy,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
and Ms. Pitts.
Yes.
The motion has carried.
Thank you, Ms. Bull. Moving now, we're at the, still on page 1 of the addendum. I'm asking at this time for a motion to approve the board secretary's report as it begins on page 1 and continues through to the top of page 3 on our addendum. Is there a motion?
Ms. Pitts, may I interject for a moment?
Yes.
Item 6, I wanted to just make a correction or addition to.
Okay.
So number 6, it should read, approved to reallocate 23-24 special ed tuition and other related costs for out-of-district students. So we're putting in other related costs from the ARP ESSER grant to the general fund in the amount of $4,850,072.46 per the attached exhibit. Costs are to be charged to 11,000,106. 566, 11,000,100, 567, and we have two more account numbers, 11,000,270, 350, and 11,000,271, 518. Everything else remains the same. I'm going to pass this to you, Ms. Pitts, and you can, the highlighted in yellow what has been added.
All right. Board members, on the board secretary, I'm going to at this time amend that move to include the changes that were stated by Ms. Boyle. So before I move to ask for a roll call,
Did we get a motion in a second, Mrs. Boyle?
No, we have not had a motion.
So
in a second.
so we need a motion second to approve that section as amended by Mrs. Boyle.
Got it. Peterson moved for approval of the board secretary, board administrators recommendations down on page 1, item A, 1 through 6. That includes page 1 through 3, and amend number 6 on 3 as specified by our board board secretary.
is there a second?
Ms. Martin.
Moved by Ms. Peterson, second by Ms. Martin. Any further questions? Any further comments? Thank you. Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Askew,
Yes.
Ms. Redden,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
and Ms. Pitts.
Yes.
The motion has carried.
Thank you, Ms. Boyle. Moving now, board members, on our agenda, I'm asking for motion to approve the personnel report as it appears. It begins at the bottom of page 3 and continues through to the bottom of page 4. Is there a motion?
Peterson moved for approval of the personnel report, which specifies superintendent recommends approval of the following action items down from A through 1 through 5, page 3 through 4.
Second, Ms. Martin.
Moved by Ms. Peterson, second by Ms. Martin. Any further comments or questions?
Yes, page 4, number 4,
Number 4, graduation cohort tracking team.
exactly what is that?
So, the high school received additional funding this year, SIA, and part of that funding is to be used to improve graduation rate and to put programs in place to address the decline in graduation rate. And so as part of that, the school had to develop a plan to address graduation, and this is one of the strategies that they came up with. And so it was approved by the state, and actually a recommendation from the state that there be a team to address, to track the graduation cohorts, to see, what the issues were so that the graduation rate would improve.
And who provided those names?
The administration, the high school.
The high school?
The high school. And so these were people who volunteered for the position. It is after school, after their regular work hours. In addition to this, Mr. Davis has had on the posting earlier, where it will become, and if it's not there, approval for teacher mentors as a part of their plan as well. So there are 3 major things that the high school has incorporated as part of their school-wide plan.
Okay.
And you'll see those coming on the agenda.
Thank you.
Okay, we're okay, Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Any further comments or questions? Hearing none on this motion, Roll call, please.
Mr. Askew,
Yes.
Ms. Dredden,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes,
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
and Ms. Pitts.
Yes.
Motion has carried.
Thank you, Ms. Ford. Board members, we're returning to our regular agenda. I'm at the top of page 17, Open Public Records Act request.
Yes, Madam President, between the period of September 20th, 2024 and October 2nd, 2024, we received and responded to one request from Mr. Todd Garrity from Attain Therapy. He wanted a copy of the winning proposal submission for the RFP for 2025-02 for behavioralist consultation and services. Those documents were compiled and sent.
Thank you, Ms. Ford. Moving now, board members, informational items. Dr. Poteet, will you give me further information items?
Yes. Yes, Madam President of the Board, I have 3 information items. First of all, I'd like to address the embarrassing and unfortunate situation that occurred last Friday night at the end of our football game. I would first like to say that the members of the football team from both schools showed their sportsmanship after the game was over. They shook hands. They went to their respective locker rooms. There were no incidents on the field, which was pleasing to all of us. However, after the football game, for whatever reason, the young people started fighting, which jeopardized the safety of everybody who was in attendance. Dr. Carcamo and I, along with Mr. Morella and the building administrative team, along with Chief Lennon and members of his staff, met today to discuss and to strategize how we can best address these issues to prevent and or minimize these kinds of things from happening in the future. At this point, the investigation is ongoing by the police department, and once they conclude, they will share that information with us. But he shared with us today that that is ongoing, and he can't give us a timeline as to when that will be concluded. However, for those individuals or students we have identified from Winslow Township High School, now there were individuals from other high schools involved other than our student, but for those who were involved in the incident from Winslow Township High School, we will be dealing with those individuals according to our student code of conduct. We had to remind a couple parents that students who are involved in incidents at a school-related function, whether it's during school, after school, the rules and regulations still apply to that high school, and therefore we will take the steps that we feel necessary to address it. At the meeting, we made some recommendations, the school district as well as the police chief, but as far as the school district is concerned, these are just some recommendations that we would like to consider, but one decision has already been made by me. Our next home game will not be at night. We're moving that game to an afternoon game because we feel that those night games create situations that could have been avoided. However, we also have been in communication with the other schools because this, of course, became very public. So we've been in communication with the other schools, and the other schools have responded in such a way that they appreciate that we are considering doing some things that will create a safe environment for everyone in attendance. We're also looking at how we sell tickets. We would like to have ticket sales online as opposed to cash up front. That will enable us to monitor and put a limit on how many tickets that are sold. Students from the Winslow Township School District must use their student ID in order to purchase tickets. Middle school and elementary students who may or may not have IDs still must have permission from their parents. And when they come to the game, they must be accompanied by a parent. Only those students from the other high school are permitted. No outside spectators will be permitted to attend our games. We have only one home game left, which is maybe 2 weeks away. the team has been very successful, which means that there may be playoff games here. We do not have control over playoff games on that site. That's the NJISA. They control those games, and we would like to communicate with them some of the concerns that we have, and possibly be able to work with them and providing some security. The police, of course, are recommending enforcing curfew laws and things of that nature. We, even after I made a robocall, we talked to as many parents as possible about young people coming to the games, picking them up by 8:15, 8:45 at the latest. That night, we had students still there. Police officers waiting until 11:30 for children to be picked up. It baffles me to think that a middle school age young girl is out there and no one comes to pick them up. I don't care how many phone calls. I just don't understand it. And most of the young people, he said there had been at least 50, 60 students still there waiting in front of the building without a ride to get home. And he is in a position where they're going to be talking to the prosecutor's office, and they're going to start enforcing curfew laws and fining these parents, because something needs to be done with these young people who are out that time of night. And no supervision, no one to pick them up after the game. And we're talking about hours after the game had completed. So at this point, again, most of what I mentioned tonight is in the discussion stages. But we will be able to confirm some of these things along the way. But we're definitely going to limit our games to students of this district, and only those students from the teams that we're playing. And we will also minimize the number of tickets they will be able to purchase also. Again, everything at this point is being done as far as safety is concerned. We have to make sure that not only our children, but when we have visitors at our stadium and on our ground, we have to assure that they're going to be safe and that they can come in and leave safely. And that is a concern that we all have at this point. So that concludes that first information item. If anyone have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
I do.
Yes, sir.
So the only home game we have coming up now is Cherokee, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
So we're gonna move it to the afternoon?
Yes, sir.
On a Saturday?
Yes, sir.
I would ask that some provisions be made. We with the Hall of Fame have made some special provisions for that day as well.
Right. That's
So
right.
I'm asking that some collaboration or some consideration
Yes.
that we work together
Yes.
to make sure, because I agree with you in your term that everything must be safe, but still in all, we must get to the stadium.
Yes, 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 yes. As a matter of fact, Mr. Thomas, you're absolutely right. And I did not think of that at the time, because we did have some things that we wanted to do. As a matter of fact, we had made that day also Biddy League and Middle League Jersey Day, where if the kids wear their jerseys, of course, with the parent, they can come into the game because we wanted to have more people there for that. So yes, Mr. Thomas, I'll be more than happy to collaborate with you. Whatever you feel works, let's do it. All right. I have two other information items, and I think it's important because it's in reference to the young ladies. We would like to incorporate flag football at the high school for the young ladies.
Flag football is when the girls play football?
Yeah, it's flag. They wear a little belt with a flag. Okay. And
Quarterback.
okay, but let me finish, because right now there are 26 teams in the state of New Jersey who's already entered into the flag football. As a matter of fact, right now the funding is coming from the Philadelphia Eagles for a startup fee. They will provide 25 uniforms, flags, diagrams for the grass and fields and football. They also will provide $3,000 stipend to pay for any other fees deemed necessary. What we will have to do, of course, get a head coach, assistant coach, and of course, each team will play four home games, 4 away games. Gives us an opportunity to get young ladies involved in the process. And in 25, 26, the NJISAA will make it an official sport for high schools. So at this point, just getting another sport involved for the young ladies.
So Dr. Monteith, with regards to this is something, what grade levels are we
This is
talking?
strictly high school.
Strictly high school.
High school, yeah.
Okay, and so if indeed this becomes a reality for Winslow,
Yes,
it'll kick off in a sense, for our,
we'd like to look at,
25, 26 school
we'd
year.
like to look at next year, 25.
25,
Yes,
yes,
for
25,
next,
26
yes,
years.
yes.
Now, Dr. Monteith, these girls are gonna be wearing helmets?
No.
Hey,
I'm not familiar with
Yes,
this.
yes. Are you, so you
You
know,
wear a
see
flag, that's not gonna help your head.
No, it's supposed to be.
That's what I'm saying, so across the board.
It's supposed to be, it's non-contact. It is a growing sport across the country. And that's why the NFL, not just either, but all the professional teams in the various cities are sponsoring this. It does several things. Of course, any athletic program, among the young ladies, encourage them to get involved, now to help them academically, and it gets more young ladies involved in the sport and having and understanding the knowledge of the sport. But more importantly, it's going to become a pilot sport in the state of New Jersey. And then at some point, eventually, it's going to become a sport.
In what months are they going to be playing?
Oh, this will be in the spring. It's in the spring. It's a spring sport, Monday through Friday, and the Philadelphia Eagles is willing to come in and do some clinics and training and things for coaches, that sort of thing. I thought it was a great idea. That's why I presented it, because, again, it gets more young ladies involved, and it's good to have another sport, which takes me to my last recommendation, and that is for the middle school girls. We would like to implement another volleyball program. Right now, the middle school and volleyball, if you had an opportunity to see a high school volleyball game, which I went to back, Mr. Custis, Coach Custis has done a great job with the volleyball team. Great job with the volleyball team. Doing extremely well. We have no feeder system. Our girls, unfortunately, get to play volleyball once they get to high school. There are other places where these young ladies are playing volleyball, middle school, some as early as elementary. But we feel that if we can implement a volleyball, which is a very, very low cost sport, because we already have a lot of things, nets, things like that. There will be, it'll be open for all the middle school girls. You'll have two teams. You have an A team and a B team, because the intent is not to cut anybody. So the A team is for the girls who are a little advanced. The B team is girls who need a little more instruction. You have a head coach for the A team, an assistant coach for the B team. And again, generate more interest in the game of volleyball. And of course, as a result of the Olympics, volleyball is becoming a growing sport. And we would like to get the young ladies involved. This will be a fall sport, just the way it is at the high school. It is a fall sport. Young people will practice Monday through Thursday.
Now, Dr. Poteet, with
Yes.
regards to these, and this is exciting. Now, just like any other sport, the students who step up and want to be a part of this, are we going to say that their academics have to be, there's a certain?
There's an academic requirement in our schools, and there's an academic requirement through the New Jersey Interscholastic Athletic Association. If you don't maintain a certain grade on average, you cannot participate. The same thing will apply to these sports. They'll be no different. Again, the emphasis is in place. We would like to place more emphasis on the young ladies, get more young ladies involved in some of the non-traditional sports, but also help what we're trying to do at the high school. We'd like to have a feeder system for all of our sports. But right now, outside of, what our community does with sports, we don't have anything for volleyball. It is probably going to be one of the cheaper of the sports, because a lot of the equipment things we already have.
Can I make a statement with that, if I may?
Sure.
I would add that you also, as you know, as we've been lobbying, that, athletics and academics go together. And if you look at statistics, some of the brighter students are in our athletic department. So I would like to monitor the 9th grade that goes out for this athletic team, just to see how this type of athletic influence their academics. Because I believe that when you get in a team environment and you get in a motivational environment, that it will enhance their academic skills. And I'd just like to see if we can put some type of monitorization on it, so in the coming years, we can understand that process, and maybe that's something we can look further into expanding.
Yeah, Mr. Thomas, let me just say, it has been a known fact for years that students who participate in extracurricular activities do better academically. Whether it's in music, it's in the arts, if it's athletics, whatever it is, in most cases, that's been proven that those young people who participate in extracurricular activities do much better academically. So it's a fact, and I would only assume, because as you know, some of our athletic programs have some of our top students. But I'd like to emphasize, so that we don't lose track, 90% of all our students who go to college go for academics, not athletics. All right, so it's always academics first. We take pride in student athletes because if you don't have the grades, you can't participate. And if you don't have the grades, I don't care how good you are, you can't go to college. It just won't happen. So we want to continue, as we talked about tonight, we're going to place emphasis on the academic programs. We want our young people to maintain a high GPA so that whatever they want to do upon graduation, they have choices. Thank you. That concludes my information items for this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Bolte. Moving now, board members, would there be any old business that you would care to discuss at this time? Thank you. Hearing none, would there be, board members, any new business that we would care to discuss at this time? Thank you. Moving now, we can move now into our public comment portion. Mr. Long?
Thank you, Madam President. The Winslow Township Board of Education highly values the input of citizens in making important decisions that affect the children of our community. We also believe in the rights of citizens to observe board meetings. To ensure that all our citizens have the opportunity to attend school board meetings and offer comment, and to ensure that the board can conduct the important business of the district, we ask that the speakers follow the guidelines for making public comment. The board secretary will recognize those individuals in the audience who wish to make comment, and we'd ask that you kindly respect the following procedures. All members of the public attending school board meetings must treat each other and the board with respect. Please state your full name and your town of residence. Please limit your comments to 4 minutes. In the event the board is unable to answer your question, please leave your name, address, and telephone number with the board secretary where you can be contacted, and your question will be answered within a reasonable time frame. Lastly, individuals offering citizen comment are not permitted to make personal attacks on any district employee, board member, other testifier, or member of the public.
Thank you, Mr. Long. Board members, at this time, I'm asking for a motion to approve our moving into public comments.
Peterson move for approval of public comments be granted.
Second, Ms. Martin.
Moved by Mr. Peterson, second by Ms. Martin. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Thank you. Ms. Boyle?
Madam President, we'd like to call off Ms. Wanda Galore.
Wanda Clark, Cicero, New Jersey. I just have 3 things that I want to bring up or make statements in regards to. The first question is, we were under a comprehensive review last year or this year. Is that still going on? If it's not still going on, do we have the results of it? And when will it be made public? That's the first thing. The second thing is, today when I was going through my grandchildren's binder to do their homework with them before I came to this meeting, I noticed there was a blue flyer inside of the folder. And the blue flyer said, meet the candidates at the middle school on October 17th at 6 p.m. Now, when did that become okay to send that flyer out? Because last year it was prohibited. It did go through the schools, and it was in all of my grandchildren's books when they came home today. So we need to find out how last year it was prohibited by law or by whatever the reason was that you all did not do a meet the candidates flyer and get it disseminated in the school. But this year, it got disseminated in the school. And I find that to be very, very suspect to me. The next thing I'd like to say is, Dr. Poteet, thank you very much for bringing that incentive for flag football for the young girls, because the Maulers team, being active in the community, you know things that are going on in the community, and I'm very active. At the Maulers Field, they have a dynamic flag football team going on for the young ladies, starting from age 6 all the way up to age 17. Coach Rob is the coach over there. I'm gonna make sure I pass the word to him to contact you to see if he's qualified to be the head coach to apply for that job. But that flag football team is treading, pounding the turf out there in our community with the Maulers. So it is a great incentive. And no, it's not contact football. You don't need a helmet. They just pull a flag. So it's like running track with the baton. That's what that is. And so if you all can look into the two questions I asked, one, a comprehensive review, and I'd like to get a response on that one. And also, how did those flyers get disseminated this year in our schools when they were prohibited last year? Thank you.
Dr. Poteet, is that something you can speak to? Because
Yes, I can
Florida,
address,
her
I can
comment about
address.
it being suspect is what I would like to hear further about that. Why is that suspect?
Because, I mean, how do you say last year it was prohibited because y'all considered it as a political situation when this year it's not prohibited? So to me, that's suspect. Whether that's a wrong choice of word for you not to understand, but that's a choice of word that I choose. And I want to understand how was last year it was not allowed, but this year it is allowed.
That's so important.
Yes, well, as far as I am concerned, all flyers that are disseminated in the schools must come across my desk for approval. I have not seen any flyers.
Your schools are passing them out.
I'm not sure how that happened, we will find out. But in order for any flyers to be disseminated in our schools, it must come to my desk and I have to approve it. I have not seen it.
Now, let me just make it clear, I'm not complaining. I think it's excellent because it's about time that our community get to know that we have an event such as Meet the Candidates so they can come out and they can meet the people who are running for the Board of Education.
But let me just, on that comment, let me just say, with regards to Ms. Floyd, it's about time. There has always been, this district has always had a Meet the Candidates night every single year because school board elections are every single year. So Meet the Candidates night, I want to be clear, is not something new. It has always taken place. And I'm going to point to Ms. Tomasello because I know she can affirm that because she's been to many of them. There's always been a Meet the Candidates night in this Winslow School District.
I am not disputing, wait a minute. I am not disputing that you did not have that Meet the Candidates. It has been a tradition, yes. But last year, a tradition got broken when you all stopped 5,000 flyers from going out and being disseminated with the students. This year, those flyers got disseminated. It's a blue flyer, and my grandchildren, I have 8 grandchildren in Winslow Township schools, and I called all their parents, and I asked them did they receive that flyer, and they said yes. So I know it was disseminated. Whether you're aware of it or not, I'm not holding you accountable, but maybe find out how last year it wasn't okay, but this year is okay. And I think it's a great thing now. So I'm not arguing, I'm not complaining against it. I think it's a great thing. But for it not to happen last year and for it to be okay this year, I just want to know how did that change?
So may I just ask this one? You say you have 8 grandchildren, so you're saying that this occurred throughout many of our schools?
Yes.
Elementary
school. I have elementary school students and I have a middle school student.
Okay.
So majority of my children are in elementary school. All right, and I have 1 high schooler. No, actually 2 high schoolers. I didn't check with those 2, but I know the middle school and the elementary schools, all of the elementary schools got it home. So, and like I said, I'm not complaining. I think it's an excellent thing.
What's the
Because
date?
that's,
What's the date of that?
the 17th of October at 6 p.m. at the middle school. Yeah, October the 17th, 6 p.m. at the middle school. There are 8 candidates running this year. And I'm not going to name any of them because I'm not obliged to do so, but there are 8 candidates running. So, and I think it's a great opportunity that we get to have that. And I commend it, but hopefully no one gets in trouble. But I just wanted one simple question. How did it happen last year? How did it not happen last year? If they get in trouble, they should get in trouble for not letting it go through proper protocol. To go through. So that's one thing, but I think it's an excellent incentive since it's something that's traditional that we do. And without mentioning any candidate's name, it's not political, it's bipartisan. And the school board is bipartisan. So at the end of the day, it doesn't hurt to inform your community by sending home that paper to the parents so they can see it, so they can have an opportunity to set that date and save that date and come out and meet.
This one, my direction, the school board election, school board members, it is not bipartisan, it's nonpartisan.
Okay, nonpartisan.
There is a difference.
Okay, correction. I stand corrected. Nonpartisan. But it doesn't matter. It's the fact that you get to go out there and meet the people who are making the decisions for their children inside of the school district.
Ms. Martin?
Last year, when we went to do the candidates meeting,
Meet the candidates.
there was an issue with the fact that flyers were going home. These flyers have been going home in the students' book bags for, I don't even know how long. Last year, there was an issue with the fact that these flyers were ready to go and they were pulled. It was said that it was because it was political that they could not send these flyers home. Now, the question that comes is the year before it was done and there wasn't a problem. Nobody said anything. It didn't happen last year, and now here we are this year, and it's happening this year. So the question becomes, who is responsible for saying that these flyers can't go home? She's saying that they have already gone home. Dr. Petit says that he has not approved the flyer because he has not seen
Have
it.
not seen them.
So
And-
everything that goes out, you see and approve,
Yes,
and that has not been done.
It has to be.
But the question is that we need to go back not only to last year, but the year before, because it was done the year before. This is done by the League of Women Voters and the union,
The teachers union.
the teachers union.
The only thing I want to add to that is consistency.
Well, yeah,
Now, since it did not occur last year, it would not have occurred this year if it had come across my desk for the same reason that it didn't go out last year. Now, I don't know how it happened this year. We will find out. And it's important that we're consistent. That's all. I need to understand. We need to be consistent. Whatever it is we're doing, we need to be consistent. And I just need to find out how that happened.
Yes.
Thank you.
And about the comprehensive review, Ms. Gores?
I'm not sure what Mrs. Gord is referring to with the comprehensive review.
Dr. Petit, I think Ms. Lord is referring to the CUSAC review. We didn't have a comprehensive review last year. The CUSAC review took place, I think, the year before. And so what we received back was, we had a meeting with them to review their findings and to review the corrective action plan that we put in place. So we were never up for a comprehensive review. It was only a review in one area, and that was in curriculum and instruction, because we got 79 instead of 80. So the
And we posted
comprehensive
those
review,
scores.
yes.
You did see the scores, right, Ms. Gord? You did see our scores from our most recent review?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
No, I didn't. No.
Okay.
The most recent review, no, that's why I was asking.
Okay.
No, that was it, Dr. Petit.
Yeah, but when we did our last assessment,
At the middle school?
whether I think it's the middle school, because this is the first time we've done it here.
I saw those.
It was part of that slide presentation because those scores, I think November 2023, it was around about the same time that I did the presentation, and I had those scores as a part of that presentation. So I'm not sure. I mean, if you want the scores, I don't know if we post them or not. It may have been, but that's something you are entitled to. I made it public. We are required to make it public.
Debbie Murphy.
Yeah, I know I did it.
Good evening. As you guys probably already know, I'm a senior this year. I'm part of the marching band. I'm part of soccer. I just wanted to invite you guys all out. Soccer's senior night this year is on the 21st of October. Home, it's against Oakcrest, I believe, and it's at 3:45. So if you guys could show up, that would be great. Hopefully.
Mary said she could play.
Oh, well, you go, there you got the trader there. We good.
And the football game, their last home game is the senior night to recognize all the seniors, including marching band seniors, cheerleaders, and the football team. And it would be greatly appreciated if we could find a way to incorporate the safety of our spectators, staff, and their visitors, and still have a nighttime game so that the seniors can be recognized under the lights for all their hard work.
I'm not going to mislead you. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry. There's too much at stake. It's too much at stake, and we're not going to be able to put all the things we want in place to ensure the safety of our fans as well as the visitors. So, no, I'm sorry. I mean, it's just too much at stake. And what you also need to take into consideration, the other schools in our league, they don't want to come here. You need to understand that.
Wow.
They don't want to come here tonight. Are you kidding me? After what they saw and these kids running around to the fights with their cell phones, taking pictures, they're all on the social media. I mean, it was embarrassing. And everybody sees those things. And I mean, it was unlike anything we've ever seen here. And I don't want to be too dramatic, but I can't make this up. It was bad. And, we have to assure visitors when they come here that they're going to be able to leave safely. And I cannot put you and everyone else in jeopardy just to accommodate some activities. However, those activities still take place in the sunshine as opposed to at night. I mean, we'll still have those things, but it will not be a night game.
Will there be an announcement to let people know that the time has changed? Because
we have
told family members.
Yeah, we had 3
when
weeks.
nights are when the game is going to be, and now it's moved 3 hours early.
Well, it's 3 weeks from now, so we have more than enough time to get it out. I mean, we don't want to shortchange.
Oh, that's a great question. Will our family members be allowed to attend?
Sure.
Okay. Sure adults.
I mean, we going to put things in place to make sure. Some of the more drastic things that I found out from my colleagues who've had incidents like this, they've had games with no spectators at all.
And to be fair, Dr. Perdue, we were there, we witnessed, and I was driving to get to pick them up. Like it was like nothing I've ever seen before.
Right.
But it wasn't all, and I think it's very safe to say and important to reveal that it wasn't 100% of Winslow Township students.
Oh, no.
Because what happens is everybody's like, oh, all those big fights. Did you see them? And it's not.
It was.
There were
right.
hundreds. It was a well-attended game.
Yes, it was.
We are getting, because our football team is undefeated and ranked number 4th in the state, we are getting fans from all over the place.
All over the place. Yes.
So I think it was
Yes.
a group. It was that mob mentality.
Yes.
So
From all over the place, yes. They were from various school districts. A lot of kids we couldn't identify. We didn't know who they were. But yes, I have to lean towards safety in every case. I just have to do that because that situation has put us as a school district and as a community in a bad light. It was embarrassing and it was just uncalled for. So now I have to lean towards safety first and foremost, to make sure that our community comes and go. And of course, when someone comes to your home field, we gotta make sure they get home safe. It's imperative. Or we'll be in a situation, unfortunately, because the football team, the players from both teams, not a problem. But these kinds of things sanctions can be placed on our program. And it's not fair to these kids. So of course, they're looking to see what we're going to do. And at some point, we'll be able, but I know the NJISA are going to be calling us and asking us, what are we doing to provide safety for visiting teams and officials, that sort of thing.
Can I ask just some clarification? Is the atmosphere different for that senior event?
In what respect?
I know it's at one versus night versus it's under the lights, but is there something different that we can still do for a day game?
Oh, you can still do everything you want today.
Okay.
You can still, everything we talked about as far as the young people being acknowledged, sure, you can do it. So that's not going to keep them from being honored and acknowledged, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Mrs. Pitts, may I comment?
Yes.
So I think it was me that said we can't send the flyers home.
Yes.
Mr. Thomas was good not to
So you can do
throw me under the bus,
Right.
but it wasn't me. Thank you for reminding me, because I know everybody said last time. So this is state statute. So whatever happened before last year never got brought to me. So I get asked the question from the administration, and the statute is 18A:42-4. And it says, no literature which is any part or any manner thereof promotes, favors, or opposes the candidacy of any candidate for election at any annual school election or the adoption of a bond, blah, 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 shall be given to any public school pupil in any public school building on public school grounds for the purpose of having the pupil take same to his home to distribute it to any person outside the building or grounds. So there's a state law that says they cannot take flyers home. And I was asked that question last year. I'm a little slow to draw. I apologize. I was better 10 years ago, but once in a while, Mrs. Pitts, it took me a little bit I don't have good contact, so it took me a little bit to pull it up because I know where I looked last year. I was asked that question for the first time and gave the correct answer. And if it was done this year, Dr. Carcamo,
I already know what happened.
it's highly inappropriate to do so.
I got the answer.
So the school and that election need to keep total separation. There's also guidance of the New Jersey School Boards Association on elections, question 52 and 53, that say the exact same thing interpreting this statute, that the school board needs to stand clear. One of my partners had this very same question in Stratford last week, gave the very same answer as I gave last year, and I'm giving now. The reason why all that happened beforehand, I don't think I was ever asked. I think when I was asked, this came to be.
I called you.
You did.
And it never came up to me until last year. As
Correct.
an issue.
That's what I recall.
And again, I'm not going to plead ignorance, but if you don't know, you don't know. But when you ask the question and you get the answer, then you have a responsibility to correct it. If you now that you know, then do what you have to do, because ignorance is no excuse. And I didn't know, so I asked, and I didn't want to throw you in the bus, Mr. Long. And you gave me the answer, and that's why we didn't do it. So if they came to me again this year, I would have made the same decision. Never saw a flyer. Don't know how, but Dr. Carpenter said she's already on top of that. and we'll address that tomorrow morning. But that's pretty much.
And so folks will be held accountable.
I got this.
All right, any more, Ms. Porter?
There we go.
Anybody, if that's all that signed,
Any,
all that have signed up? Do we have anybody in the waiting room?
so, all right, so therefore, this one, I'm asking for a motion to adjourn our public comments.
Peterson move for approval to adjourn public comments.
Second,
Brad.
Ms. Martin.
Moved by Ms. Peterson, second by Ms. Martin, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes.
Thank you, Madam President. In accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act, we'll be entering into an executive session on October 9th, 2024 at 8:45 PM. The purpose of the private session, executive session, has to deal with student conduct, which is by law considered private in nature and should be held, specifically these types of processes, in executive session. We may indeed be an hour or two in our executive session, depending upon how things go. So we're all going to be a while. Thank you, Madam President.
What number is that, sir?
Mr. Long.
Your number?
Number two.
Okay.
I'm sorry, number one.
Therefore, board members, at this time, I'm asking for a motion to adjourn into executive session.
Peterson move for approval to adjourn into executive session.
Second, Ms. Martin.
Moved by Ms. Peterson, second by Ms. Martin, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Thank you, we are adjourned to executive session.